Aloha, everyone. Welcome to Leveraging Up, your voice, your story, your impact. And today I've got a very special guest, Nathan Wheeler Nathan Wheeler is a financial professional. So we're going to hear about what drives him to do what he does, what inspires him to do and serve people just like you, listeners. So lean in, because he's got some things to share. So, Nathan? What I'd like you to do is just tell us what inspired you to go into serving others in the financial field.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So, back when I was in the Army, so I served in the Army for a little bit. And while I was there, I was saving in something called a thrift savings plan, was what we were going to use for retirement. It's almost like a federal 401k. And, back at the time, I was losing money. And so I figured there had to be a better way, for what was to sustain me for the last third of my life when I intended to live without a job. And so I sat down with a finance professional and I was introduced to strategies for cash accumulation and asset protection that, honestly sounded too good to be true. But it was things that I was entirely unfamiliar with, right? Because we lack financial education. Less than 8% of high schools offer any type of financial education. So people graduate high school, enter into the workforce, start making money, and have no idea what to do with their money. And I was one of those people. And so anyway, I sat down, learned about some things and about wealth and how we can strategize wealth and actually put ourselves in a position to achieve our financial goals. And, fast forward about 6 years after having leveraged those strategies, I realized the significance and legitimacy of what I was doing. And so I got licensed in the industry. And I had no intent to change my career at the time. Really, I just wanted to help my friends and family. I wanted to share some of the things that I learned and be able to facilitate use of those resources. And so that's exactly what I did. But as I started entering into that space more and more, I learned not only how passionate I was, but the fact that we've entered the greatest transition of wealth in the history of this country, and we're losing financial professionals at a significant rate. And people enter into this space, and then a lot of times they're limited in scope, whether they pick a particular lane, securities, insurance, maybe banking, and then they stay there. So it's in some cases they're not necessarily able to provide that holistic approach to bring all the pieces together. But then outside of that, maybe they don't have the training that they need to get to where they want to go. And so it was a culmination of things that really kind of guided me through into this path. And it was at that point that I really decided, like, hey, I think I could be a difference here. And so I decided to step in and actually do just that.
I can feel that passion that you have coming right through the camera here, Nathan. So I'm going to say, hey, listeners, are you leaning in? Because he's got some good points that I want you to take out a piece of paper and start writing down. Because the next question I have for Nathan is, Nathan, if you could look our viewers in the eye and just let them know what lessons that you've learned that you could impart to them that could help them get in a better financial position.
First of all, I love that question because it's kind of simple. People think that the rules of the game are rigged against us. They're not. You just have to know the rules of the game so that you can play to win. And so that's kind of what we specialize in, is we teach people how to strategize wealth. How does money grow? How are we taxed on that growth? You've got to know and understand these things. When it comes to money growing, you're paying for something. What are you paying for? How much are you paying? These are all relevant factors when it comes to wealth and wealth strategy, and you've got to familiarize yourself. But you've got to care enough. You've got to put yourself in that position to be thinking about your financial future. Because I'll tell you, right now, the average 401k in this country for a 65-year-old looking to retire has about $270,000 in it. And nobody can retire with that amount of money. And the reason for that is people, they're not taking a vested interest in their future. And it's insane because, we'll go into the kitchen and we'll plan out whatever it is we're going to make for dinner. We'll pull out the ingredients. We'll start doing the recipe. We'll follow the directions. We'll actually plan for that. But we're not planning for what's to sustain us for the last third of our lives. So we literally just plan to work for forever. And unfortunately, that's what we see happen.
Wow, Nathan, that hits home because I'm going to be 65 soon. And you're so right. Many of us actually prepared for everything else but our retirement, thinking that other options would be available. So if you could give us some tips on what's important, a couple tips on what's important for our listeners to get prepared for, and after that, I'm going to ask you to tell us how they can get in touch with you too. Okay?
Yeah, there's a few things that come to mind there. First of all, again, you got to take a vested interest. So what does that mean, right? That means actually budgeting. Start tracking the money that's coming in, start tracking the money that's going out. And I don't remember the specific statistics, but it's something astronomical that like the percentage of people that have a subscription that they're not even using. But if it's like $30 or less, they just keep it just on general principle. And that adds up. So start actually taking a vested interest in your success. Like think about, what am I bringing in? What's going out? Right? But then you also got to consider, how and when do we want to pay taxes? And this is one that a lot of people don't think about. And I want to impart something upon everybody that's listening to this like right now. So, 6, 7 years ago in 2018, our total debt in the United States was about $20 trillion. So after 242 years as a nation, we had accumulated $20 trillion in debt. In the past 6.5 years, we've almost doubled that. We're now at $36 trillion. The total debt to GDP ratio, meaning the amount of money that the government is spending compared to the amount of money that's coming in, is negative 133%. This means, and you don't need to be an economist to know this means that taxes are going to increase. So you've got to consider, when are you going to pay taxes and how are you going to pay taxes? Like what are you paying taxes on? Are you just paying taxes on income? Are you paying taxes on income and gains? Are you paying taxes later? Are you deferring to wait until later? It's essential that we understand these things so that we can position ourselves to, again, have the majority of our wealth lasting us when we need it to. Right. And so we live in an instant gratification. We live in a consumer society. Like all these things are relevant. And so we have just got to position our financial well-being at the forefront so that we're not always struggling, so that we're not always living paycheck to paycheck. And I think just that acknowledgement and then gaining the literacy, the financial knowledge, the financial know-how to actually play the game the right way. These are the things that we should be prioritizing. So don't shy away from the conversation with a financial professional. Don't be the person who's like, hey, my situation is too bad. I don't want anybody to know it. Don't be the person who thinks, hey, I have all the answers. I assure you, you probably don't. Like, don't be the person who's shying away from working with an expert, because that expert may know the thing, and that may be the difference between your financial independence and security or not. It may be the difference between you leaving a legacy or not. Right now, the average lifespan is about 80 years, and we're seeing more and more people passing on generational debt rather than generational wealth. So again, take a vested interest in you, your financial well-being, and the well-being of the people that are coming after you.
Powerful stuff, Nathan, powerful stuff. With the advice that you gave us, Nathan, what would be the best way for us to get in touch with you? Because I can hear that passion behind that voice of yours. And guys, have you stood off your seats yet? Because he had some pretty valid points here. So viewers, this is the way that you can actually contact Nathan. Go for it, Nathan.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. And so obviously my name is Nathan Wheeler. You can find me at my website, nathanu.wheeler.com. I'm on all the social media platforms, and my handle on all of them is Nathan U. Wheeler. The U is my middle initial. It stands for Uriah. And my email address is wealth@nathanuwheeler.com. Please do not hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to share any insight. And if there's something I can't do to help, I know somebody who can.
I love it. I love it. Nathan, with all the experience that you've had, the passion that's right behind you, can you give us one last thing that you'd like to share with the audience today?
Yeah, actually I can. And that is this. Most of us, we're not in the position that we want to end at. Most of us, we're in a position that's en route to get to where it is we want to go. And unfortunately, most of us don't ever shape our identity around where it is we want to go, whether that's our wealth identity, whatever goals it may be, whatever things that you want to accomplish in life. So many of us stay stuck on who we were, where we come from, and we let those things define us rather than shaping our identity around where it is we want to be. And so I would encourage everybody listening to actually take an inventory and consider where it is you want to be, and then start aligning who you are now with who that is. So shape that through the associations that you have, the people that you interact with, the habits that you have, the things that you do consistently, the affirmations, the things that you say to yourself, and the faith that you have in whatever it is that you consider to be a higher power, and shape your identity around who it is you need and want to be, rather than where it is you come from and who it is you are now. And that will change your entire existence.
Boom. That's all I can say, Nathan. Thank you so much for joining us. You know, for you out there, our listeners, viewers, isn't it time for you to now take stock in where you are at? You know, Nathan brought up an amazing point that I want to leave you with. What are we tracking in and how are we tracking going out? Because most of the time we've got money laying on the table that's just, I'm going to just say it, is that okay? It's just being wasted. And so take stock of what you have. Great advice, Nathan. I'm going to tell you this. If you want, not if, when you are ready and you want that service, contact Nathan Wheeler, and he's an amazing financial professional. Can't go wrong with the passion that he has behind him. Thanks again, Nathan, for joining us. And you all have a great day.